All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays. 365, we making up plays. You talking the game, get you through the days. We're high in the court, then I'm in the lane. Variety topics, living the same. All presentation, sports information. In the airways, taking the nation. All sport, all plays, they working your faces. Grace at the field, so tie the laces. All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays. We on top of our game. All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays.
Welcome back to the All Sports, All Plays College Breakdown. I'm Ray and Landon with you. Just let you know, this game, this is being taped early due to some family issues I have going on this weekend, so I won't be able to do it on Saturday. So we went on ahead and taped it early. This is the pregame show premiere from 9 a.m. till 12 o'clock kickoff time. So, Landon, let's get back into this thing here. Let's go ahead and pick. How about the Georgia and Georgians and a Charleston Southern game that's going to be played? So, who do you think is going to win this game?
I think we can agree on this game, right? I think we both got Georgia winning this game. Georgia's looked very dominant over the year. They've been dominant against every opponent. There's not been a close game yet. Georgia's looking like that number one team. They have been all year. We talked about it earlier. We talked about how Georgia's got that insane pressure up the middle in between the tackles. They, their nose guards are so good. Like Jordan Davis, for example. People are saying defensive Heisman winner, whatever. But so Jordan Davis is going to lead that defense, and they're just going to shut them down. I wouldn't be surprised. There will be 0 points on the scoreboard for Charleston Southern. So give me Georgia by probably like 30 or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I think the score would probably be. I think they probably hit 65. Maybe if they don't hit 65, they probably took the starters off at halftime.
Yeah, I think the starters will be pulled at halftime.
So, all right, how about Iowa State and Oklahoma? Who do you have in this game?
Okay, this is interesting. So this is one that I actually have circled for me to look at, because we got Oklahoma at 13, but then we have Iowa State who has beat Oklahoma State, I believe, right, this year so far?
Yes.
And Oklahoma State is still ranked 9, I believe. So this is an interesting game. We have Oklahoma, coming off the loss. So a big thing for them is going to be, I want to see who starts at quarterback because I have no idea who's going to start because they pulled Caleb Williams last week, put Spencer Rattler in. That's just a mess there at quarterback. So don't really know what's going to happen there. If I had to pick right now, I'm going to say Iowa State to beat Oklahoma. I think it's going to be interesting because that quarterback situation is what I'm watching. And Iowa State also, they went in as a favorite against Oklahoma State, beat them. I'm sure Oklahoma's the favorite right now in that, but I think Iowa State will beat Oklahoma this week.
You got to understand, Iowa State came in with all the hype too, and they haven't lived up to the performance the last few weeks. So, I think Campbell's got that ship running in the right direction. I kind of agree with you on that. The quarterback issue, the quarterback situation with Oklahoma is up in the air. Who are they going to put?
Yep.
Rattler or Williams? I don't know. So I like Iowa State. Give me Iowa State on this one too. I think Oklahoma's in a little ray of shame right now, and they got a lot of pressure too because now Lincoln Riley's now been going around to different schools and being shopped. So LSU. So they got a little bit of play for there on that one. How about Prairie View A&M versus Texas A&M? The battles of the A&Ms.
Texas A&M, man, they look good. They come in with a lot of hype too over the season. I'm pretty sure they were a top 10 team. Definitely didn't live up to it. I'm pretty sure they lost week 1. People were talking about how that defense couldn't hold anybody. Then they beat Alabama and then started going on a little winning streak, which was fun to watch for sure when I were here. And we got them playing in unranked. They're sitting at 16, I believe, right now. So I think Texas A&M wins the game. I'm sure it's at Texas A&M, isn't it?
Yes.
Which is one of the hardest places. It's one of the hardest places to play. It's one of the biggest college stadiums. It'll be a packed house, I'm sure. Give me Texas A&M in that.
Okay, I got Texas A&M too. Prairie View ain't got no chance going to Cal Field. It takes a special team to go in Cal Field. Alabama didn't. Alabama pushed them to the limit. And They didn't come out with the victory at Cal Field. So Cal Field has been like a home of the 12th man in college. You know, they got the home of the
Yes.
12th man in Seattle. So this is the college version of the 12th man, and it's brutal
Yeah, it
there.
is brutal.
So
It's insane to watch. Like, and it's just insane to watch like the crowd noise and how it really gets to every one of the teams that go in there. Nobody can figure it out. Like
yeah,
Bama tried to run a silent count. Silent count didn't work. Penalties all the time. They just could not. Nobody can figure out how to play there. It's kind of insane to watch.
yeah. How about Tennessee State versus Mississippi State?
Mississippi State is coming in at number 25, as you can see there on the bottom. Mississippi State's an interesting team because they either play really good one week or really bad one week. Um, Mississippi State has been on a run though. They've been winning. They're hot. I'm gonna take Mississippi State in this one.
And this week's a lot of us picking about the same teams because it's like good and close to the end of the season, and you got all these like the SEC plays their cherry picking games about
Yes.
this time
Yeah.
of the season. So
I mean, New Mexico State.
yeah. Speaking of New Mexico State and Kentucky,
Kentucky's been looking rough. But New Mexico State's also like 1-8 or something like that, 1-9. So it's a no-brainer to me. I'm gonna go Will Levis and Kentucky to lift up and beat New Mexico State, come back from a couple of losses.
yeah,
And,
I think
get back in the win column.
Kentucky can go to Kroger and get them some food and stuff, and come back and still be the same, be up by 50 or 60 points. So
Yeah.
how about Florida Atlantic and Western Kentucky, the Hilltoppers?
Ooh, this is interesting too because very interesting. I'm definitely gonna be watching this one. Western Kentucky play UTS. We talked about them earlier with the UTSA. We know what happened there. UTSA won, but it was a close game. I guess I'll take Western Kentucky in this one, just for the pick'em sake.
Yeah, Florida Atlantic has got some rough time. Butch Davis is the head coach, and I mean it's just been not really a Butch Davis team and stuff like that. It's been really rough. So I'm going with the Hilltoppers. I think the Hilltoppers will hilltop them up in Western Kentucky. Now, if it was playing at Florida Atlantic, it might be a little bit different story, but they're playing up in Western Kentucky.
Sure.
So Florida State at Boston College.
Ooh, okay, here's a good one. Boston College had a little bit of hype too coming into the season. People were talking about watch out for Boston College, but to come into that ranked, they're gonna come in, they're gonna end the season ranked, but now we're here. Florida State also has had a little bit of a letdown of a year. They come in with a lot of hype as well. So it's both teams who have let down fan bases, just let down people in general. If I had to pick one, I'm gonna say Boston College will beat Florida State. I'm not sure what the numbers are looking like right now, but I'm going to say, just off this year, off of what I've watched, I'm going to take Boston College. I know Florida State did pull the win against Miami last week in a really close one, which in a game that really, in my opinion, shouldn't have been close. I think Florida State should have beat them by 10 plus, but
Yeah. I agree with you too. I think Boston College is a team up in Boston and Chestnut Hill. It's not a hard place to play because of the foul noise and stuff like that, but it's a hard place to play for Florida State because you got to go up in the cold.
Yeah.
And it's very cold up there. And if the cold gets up there, I mean, the running back and the quarterback is a running quarterback. He's inconsistent on the passing. If he can stop him in the backfield running, you can stop Florida State's offense. So,
facts.
So I give Boston College an edge on that. Wofford going into North Carolina.
North Carolina. I like North Carolina. I like them going into this year. Let me down a little bit, not going to lie to you. But I thought for sure they'd end top 5. But, it's okay, though. They still had a decent year. I mean, they've looked good. Sam Howell's the quarterback. That's his name, right?
Yeah, Sam Howell.
He looks good. He always looks good, though. He's definitely going to be a top pick quarterback-wise in the draft. I take Sam Howell, North Carolina to beat. Go just to probably steamroll them out. I don't think it'll be close.
Yeah, right now Sam Howell's up in the air. They haven't really decided if they're going to play him or not because they got the NC State coming up next. They could rest him too, even though Wofford is not a great team. They could rest him and let the 2 backup quarterbacks run the show.
Mm-hmm.
They got Luke May, who is a 4-star recruit, highly recruited, coming out last year, and then Coswell's been there for 3 or 4 years anyway. So, I mean, they got doable quarterbacks, and then they got a 6'7" quarterback behind there that redshirted this year. So,
Jeez. That's smart to play the backups though, because you don't want the risk of him getting hurt and then
yeah.
going into NC State rival game and then.
So, but my North Carolina team, that's my team. So
Yeah.
I picked North Carolina to win that one myself. Purdue at Northwestern. Hold on, make sure. Well, I got that. That's going to be later on.
Okay.
Because that's one other game. How about UMass and Army?
Army. Just give me Army. I don't have any analysis behind that. Just give me Army.
Army's a better running game, better running team. UMass is inconsistent. UMass only won a few games, but Army is as an option team. So the service academies are hard to prepare for in a short period of time. If you don't get a bye week before them, it's a hard time to play them. So
I
got
got
Army
one
too.
Army game, but yeah, I saw the run game. They are elite as far as that.
South Florida and Tulane.
Okay, Tulane has played a lot of ranked opponents this year, and come close to beating a lot of ranked opponents. With that being said, give me Tulane, riding the green wave. But it's simply just because they almost beat number 2 Oklahoma when they were number 2, and then they almost beat Cincinnati too. So I'm gonna ride Tulane.
Yeah, and get your piggyback on that Tulane and Oklahoma game. That was played in Oklahoma, and
Yeah.
it was a home lane for Tulane. It was a home game for Tulane.
Yeah.
So they went into that field and actually almost won that game, being the home team.
Yeah.
I think that's probably the first time Oklahoma was the visiting team at their own stadium.
It was bad. Spencer, like that. Well, Oklahoma as a whole went into the season like they were the next, say a good team. The 2020 Bama or the 2019 LSU. They were coming in. People were saying they were going to go undefeated, dominate everybody, and they didn't. Obviously, as we were sitting at 13, and we picked Iowa State to beat them unranked. So, yeah, that was interesting too. But Tulane still, it's a ranked opponent. I think, you know what I mean. Whether they're not good or not. So yeah, I'll take Tulane in that.
Yeah, South Florida is like a Duke team to me. I just can't pick a team like that. Seeing like Thursday night, I'm gonna go ahead and put the scoreboard up for Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday games here. Duke got blasted by Louisville on the Thursday night game. That was just embarrassing. So
yeah, it was 62 to 22 or something like that. 60.
Yeah, 62, something like that. It was a blowout. I think Colcliffe is on his way out of Duke.
Yeah,
he's been there for 14 years, and his first few years he did really great. In the last 3 or 4 years, he's not been too hot. Under 500 in conference play, under 500.
Yeah.
Kent State and Akron, the battle of the Ohio's.
Kent State and Akron. I've seen Akron. Akron has played Ohio State this year. I know that. And they played them okay at the start, and then it just, it's Ohio State. But if I had to pick one, I guess I'll go Akron. I think I'll go Akron just because of the ranked opponents they played and experience there, so they can handle the pressure.
Yeah, I got Kent State. Kent State has played some good opponents this year too, and they've been in some games and some games they haven't been into. But Akron has been up and down too, so I think Kent State could come in there and beat Akron in Akron. Coastal Carolina is playing Texas State and Coastal Carolina in Conway, South Carolina.
Coastal Carolina is good. They're always one of those teams that are like, are they legit? Are they not? Last year they beat BYU, didn't they? Last year with Zach Wilson.
Yes.
Yeah. So Coastal Carolina is always that team that's kind of like, we're here, but we're not great, but we're here. So with that being said, I'll take Coastal Carolina in that.
Yeah, Coastal Carolina and Conway, South Carolina is a tough place to beat them in, even though they just came on the national scene 2 years ago. Yeah. They always been playing tough at home and stuff like that. And Chadwell, once again, his name has been surfing around some key coaching jobs too. The coaching job he's done at Coastal Carolina has been tremendous. The only knock on about him is that team went into Boone, North Carolina, up in Appalachian State, and they have never won in Appalachian State, and they still didn't win.
Yeah.
This year. So to me, they still got their hopes up, not too much hopes, because if Appalachian State wins out, they win their conference due to the tiebreaker. So, I got Coastal Carolina winning that one also. Arkansas State and Georgia State.
Arkansas State. I'll take Arkansas State in that one.
I got Georgia State. I think Georgia State is just a tad, a little bit better than Arkansas State. I've seen Georgia State play North Carolina. They hung tough with North Carolina to halftime, and then after halftime, it was just over. So I got Georgia State on that one. Let's see here. Yeah, Washington and Colorado.
Okay, here we go. Okay, so a little bit more relevant. Washington, Colorado. I'm gonna take Colorado to beat Washington.
So you're going with the home team on this
Going
one.
with the home team.
I take Washington going on the road. I think Washington is a little bit, just a tad better, just a tad, not much. I think Washington wins about a field goal on this one. All right, let's see here. I'm going to pick. Well, we do. All right, we'll hold it right there, and then we'll just go in. And we're going to break down the UCLA and USC for all our West Coast people here. Yeah. This game is played at 4 Eastern Time at Memorial Coliseum in Los Angeles, California. The game can be seen on the Fox basic regular channel on Fox. UCLA is 6-4. USC comes in 4-5. We know about USC. We know about Chip Kelly. What do you think is going to happen in this ball game today?
I think it's going to be a very good game. Because anytime these two teams play, it's always a heated rivalry. UCLA's looked good this year, though. They beat Oregon, I believe, didn't they? I know that was a really
Oregon beat them.
They lost Oregon. It was close though, right?
It was close all the way up to the end.
Yeah. Okay. So UCLA hung tough with number 3. So and USC's at 4-5 right now. UCLA, like you said, 6-4. I'm going to take UCLA to beat USC at their home. I think UCLA is just the better team. I don't care if USC's at home. UCLA has shown more to me than USC has. So I'm going to take UCLA.
Yeah, if you look at it this way, since Clayton Hilton has been fired, in the second week of the season, there was still some fight, but the loss of wide receiver Drake Landon really hurt USC into a point where they're not getting the passing game where they needed to be. Arizona State was able to hammer the Trojans to close to 300 yards a few weeks ago. Arizona was able to fire away easily the week before. Now it's UCLA's turn to fire up. Yeah. And we know about Chip Kelly's fast-paced offense. He get that first down, they keep moving down the field and stuff like that. So, I mean, it's not been a Chip Kelly type offense. It's been more of a using the pound and the run game and then sprinkling a little bit of passing here and there. But they still got the speed and still got the coaching. And like you said, they were in games like against Oregon. They beat LSU at the beginning of the season. So, I mean, that really set the panel off on the LSU too. I mean, I believe LSU came in ranked too. I believe
they did. They came in ranked like top 15.
So, I think UCLA is more seasoned vet. They're trying to upset. I think USC, they do have a freshman anything special, Arizona State, but they threw for 391, 4 scores in the win over Washington State early in the year. Now the program gets to see what he can do. So they got a freshman starting quarterback and going in UCLA. And then, Chip Kelly's defensive coordinators, usually they have game plans for freshmen. So they will see one thing, but it really ain't seeing the thing they really see at the pre-snap. So I think I'll get the edge to UCLA on this one myself. So you got UCLA too?
Yeah, UCLA.
So we got UCLA on this one here. So mark it down here. All righty. Moving right along. We'll go a couple more and then we'll start back picking them again. Baylor versus Kansas State. The pesky Kansas State team at 5:30 Eastern Time at Bill Snyder Family Stadium in Manhattan, Kansas, not Manhattan, New York, Manhattan, Kansas. Yeah. This is on the FS1 network. Baylor comes in at 8-2. Kansas State comes in 7-3. So this could be a game that could set some things in motion from the Pac-12.
Yes. Baylor coming in fresh off you have to say it, even though I don't think it is, coming off the upset, but the rankings, you have to say it. Baylor coming fresh off that upset where I think we all knew. I hope you picked Oklahoma Baylor over Oklahoma, because I think a lot of the country did. They're coming to play a Kansas State team who's 7-3, but Baylor's looked good. Baylor's looked really good. I don't know, really. I don't know how it could go any other way than what I think it's going to go. I think Baylor's going to win. I think Baylor's going to win by probably 10 plus. They're going to go into Kansas State and they're going to beat the Wildcats. I want number 11 Baylor on the road.
So you're taking Baylor. Let me see here. I'm gonna give you a little fresh point about Baylor. Baylor is run by their offense is run by Larry Fedora, the former North Carolina coach.
Mm-hmm.
So he's running their offense. Their offense is a read option type offense, and it gives teams a lot of things eye candy. What we call eye candy is where they fake it off to different people in the backfield, and then next thing they got the RPO going down the field.
Yeah.
And I think that's one thing that Baylor has done well this year, and I think they kept Oklahoma off balance the way they were forming that offensive, because they give Oklahoma one look, and then next thing you know they got a jet sweep going. The guy got the ball going the other way, but he faked it like the two people already. So I mean, these read option teams give a lot of trouble because it's a more of an option team, but people don't want to call it an option. You just call it a read option.
Right.
But it's more like your wishbone type offense and your flex bone and all that stuff, but they just call it a read option. But because you can pass out of it, you can run out of it now. They added some wings to it. But Kansas State's defense is not being overly top. Baylor, couldn't throw on West Virginia. Efficiency. The Wildcats' run defense is really good. So that's going to put a lot of pressure on the quarterback for Baylor and stuff like that. But I think if it's playing in Manhattan, Kansas, it's another one of those fields that it's going to be hard for Baylor to go in there and try to blow them out and stuff like that. But I think, to me, I think Kansas State could pull the upset in Manhattan, because they call it the Manhattan for no reason whatsoever, because it's a place that teams go in there, you think he's going to win. Like Oklahoma's been in there a couple of times and got upsetted in it.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, it's one of those type of games that you can pull an upset here. So I'm going to go with Kansas State on the upset. And you got Baylor.
Yeah, I got Baylor.
So now if it was at home, yeah, I would have gone with Baylor. But
yeah,
you're playing in Kansas State for that. So now we're going to move right back into
watch. That's going to be a really fun one to watch.
Yeah. We're gonna move right back into the ACC here. We got Wake Forest versus Clemson. This is a very interesting game here. Mm-hmm. Wake Forest is right now up 2 games on NC State and Clemson. NC State lost to Wake Forest. NC State beat Clemson. If Clemson can beat Wake Forest, that'd be 1 game less with 1 game to go. And then Wake Forest can't clinch. If Wake Forest win, they clinch their division in this game. If Wake Forest don't win, the division can't be clinched unless Wake Forest wins their last game of the season. And then we'll go to the rankings between North Carolina State, Wake Forest, and Clemson for the tiebreaker. So whoever's higher ranked.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of interesting climax on this Wake Forest Clemson game. This game is at 12 o'clock. It's at Memorial Stadium in Clemson, South Carolina. ESPN is carrying this game. Wake Forest comes in at 9-1. Clemson comes in at 7-3. North Carolina game was not a conference game. It was an overall game, so it didn't count against the ACC. That's why people are confused about that. North Carolina signed a 2-year deal with a home and home game. Wake Forest game, not the first year, but the year before was the overall game. Last year game was a conference game. This year's an overall game. Next year will be a conference game.
It's weird.
No, yeah, it's weird because North Carolina wanted to play Wake Forest, and that's the only way they could have done it. So they gave each other another Power 5 conference team on their schedule. Basically, that's how it's done. So when you look at this game here, Clemson's struggling on the offense. The quarterback is struggling. This is not a typical Clemson team. You knew it was going to be down without Trevor Lawrence and ETN not being there, and their offense is on the side of the ball. Defense is still good, but not up there where it was.
Mm-hmm.
So tell me how would the Demon Deacons go into they so-called the Death Valley of Memorial Stadium in Clemson and pull out this victory today?
Well, it's going to be hard to do this, and I think on paper you're saying, well, Wake Forest is going to win this game, right? But you got to think Clemson and their Death Valley is hard to win in. The tradition where they run down the backside of the stadium, it gets the fans up and it gets them going. But the thing about Clemson is their offense just is not up to par, and their defense is not how they were at the beginning of the year when they barely lost to Georgia. You know, so with all of that being said, Wake Forest has just got to go in and they've got to stay calm under all the pressure they're going to be under. You can say, well, Landon, Clemson's not ranked. Why are they under pressure? They're under so much pressure because of what Ray said with the ACC situation. It is so tight. So, you know, and they're playing at Clemson. Clemson is very, 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 very hard to win when you go to their house. You know, so Wake Forest, like I said, the key to victory for them is just stay calm, play their game. Don't get too excited. Don't make bad reads just because of the crowd noise. So that's my key to victory for Wake Forest. I think that's how they need to go in. They need to go in calm.
Yeah, I'm gonna pull up something right here. I'm doing it right now. I'm gonna pull up the last time Wake Forest won in Clemson.
I bet it's insane.
Clemson last defeat against Wake Forest was 12-7 in 2008. The last time in Memorial Stadium was 29-19, 1998.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to find out if this was Clemson or was it them. So let me see here. Well, while I'm talking here, while I'm trying to find it. If you look at Wake Forest, Hartman, the quarterback, struggled against North Carolina State. Even though they still got the win, he struggled minulously. He took a lot of hits. And if you watch that game a little bit, he was limping. He was in pain. We have no injury report on him whatsoever. They haven't said anything about the school. Schools have their alternative if they want to release the injury report and don't want to release it. So he was in a lot of pain. He took a lot of hits by NC State. They did get out with the victory in that ball game. But, you know, Wake Forest defense has not been a particularly dominant defense.
Yeah.
You know, they have played a lot of luckless sort of games. The Army game was a high-scoring game, 70-56 game. And the defense did give up 56 points in that ball game. Wake Forest defense likes to stop you from the 20 to 20, and then they don't start working on your defense until almost the red zone, in the red zone area. So they have one of the good red zone defense. But you can get yards on them. That's what Clemson needs to do. Clemson, on the other hand, they like to take these deep shots sometimes, and sometimes it gets them in trouble not taking what the defense gives you. In the last few games, Clemson has took advantage of some of the defense that is stopping the over-the-top throws, deep throws, and going with the underneath stuff. And I think that's what Ugalea's good at is the underneath stuff. He's not really good at throwing the deep bomb passes, not yet anyway. Hartman, he's good at everything. He's good at short passes. He's good at the run. He's good at the deep passes. And Clemson don't give up too many deep passes in games. If you beat Clemson, you're going to beat them underneath throws and stuff like that. And which, to me, Hartman is good at that too. So you got a double-edged sword here when you play Wake Forest. Wake Forest running game has not been up to the point where he was last year, but they're doing it effectively to get some of the time in drives in the late games to get first downs. They've been doing that. Wake Forest has been – Clawson's offense is not being mirrored by anybody because Wake Forest don't get that offense out. That slow mesh works very well because you don't know how long you're going to hold that smash into it. Would that give a problem to Clemson's defense?
Well, I think Clemson's defense got so many problems going into this. And you said it, and I think it's because Wake Forest and their quarterback, how consistently good at everything he is. He's super all around, you know. So I think that's a big problem for Clemson, and I think everything you just said is going to pose a problem to Clemson. Because they haven't been up to par this year. Their quarterback is fantastic all around. So I think it's going to pose a huge problem to Clemson's defense.
Yeah, and if you look at the line, if you look at this here, somebody said Clemson's going to win 34-31. Clemson's favored by 4. 56.5 is the over and under. I think that 56.5 is a little bit
I think it's a stretch.
No, I think it should have been a little bit more.
You think so?
Yeah, Wake Forest puts points on the board.
Yeah, I know, but it's going to be hard to put points on the board.
And they said, they say 56.5. So if you take the 34 to 31, that's 65 right there. So they're going with the over on that one. To me, I think Wake Forest could pull this one out. It's going to be a slim by. I think it's going to be a closer game than what people think it is.
Yeah.
Because it's Death Valley, it's Clemson, it's Debo Sweeney, it's Brent Venables, the defensive coordinator. They'll have some up for Harmon. But the question is, can Wake Forest if one of that wide receiver who had a lot of drops, he got targeted 25 times and dropped the ball 7 or 8 times in that game against NC State. So the question is, can he do the same? Will he do the same thing on that? And that's going to be the hard part to say and stuff like that. So I have Wake Forest winning on the slim of their teeth.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I'm going to have to agree. I think Wake Forest wins. I think it's going to take them a little bit to get going, though, because they're playing at Clemson. I think that poses the biggest problem for Wake Forest. I don't think it's Clemson's defense. I think it's just the fact that it takes a while to get used to crowd noise. It takes a while to get used to what kind of silent count you're going to need. It's, as an offensive line, it takes a little bit to realize when you need to go and not. So I think that Wake Forest wins by 3 max.
The last time Wake Forest brought a ranked team into Clemson was back in 1979. That's the last time Wake Forest.
They're going to make history when they beat Clemson.
So, yeah, I mean, if you look at these stuff here, man, it's time consuming here. Let's see. Let me see if I can find. They listed 5 notable games for 12 straight wins for Clemson versus Wake Forest. That's gonna be in the battle today. Mm-hmm. Tiger has won 15 straight from 1977 to 1991. They have won 12 consecutive games against wins in Clemson, the longest active streak against ACC opponents. That's in Clemson. So they haven't won in the last 12 games in Clemson. The closest game during that span was 31-28 in 2011. The rest were average about 30.5 points. Clemson's last defeat against Wake Forest was 12-7 in 2008, and that was in Memorial Stadium. And the last time in Memorial Stadium was 29-19. 1998 is the last time Wake Forest has won in Memorial Stadium.
That's insane. That is a lot.
So Wake Forest can break two things here today.
Yeah,
they can break the 12-game losing streak against Clemson, and they can break that streak since 1998 in Memorial Stadium.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So there's a lot of pressure on Wake Forest. I don't think Clemson's got a lot of pressure because they've been playing down, but still, Debo Sweeney's been there before. He's won a national championship. He's been in the ACC for a while. So I mean, he's got the pedigree. Dawson is now learning how to win and stuff like that. So that's going to be a tale of 2 tapes. Who's going to outcoach who?
Yeah,
in this ball game.
It's going to be fun to watch. That's going to be one. As soon as this ends, this game will be starting. So I recommend you go turn this on.
Yeah.
On ESPN, so everybody should have it. So.
Yeah, on national television.
So that's going to be one to watch for sure.
Well. Also at 12 o'clock, this game takes place in Ohio, at Ohio State Stadium in Columbus, Ohio.
Here we go.
At 12 o'clock on ABC. This is Michigan State number 9-1 against Ohio State number 9-1. So now this is going to be the question here. This is going to be the big question. This is for the marble. This is for everything. Mm-hmm. This is for bragging rights. This is for number 1. This is for knocking Ohio State possibly out of the contention of the NCAA playoffs. This could put Michigan State back into the contention of the playoffs. There's a lot of stuff riding on this game, and it's playing in Ohio State and Columbus Stadium, in Buckeye land. So it's going to be a lot of red, and they have a little mixture of green. So what do you take on this game here? You got Walker versus Ohio State, C.J. Strong. in this
Oh
contest.
gosh, it's gonna be fun. This is gonna be a very fun game to watch. I love watching Kenneth Walker play. He's so good. He's so phenomenal at reading holes and finding the open hole and going. And he's so good in open field. He's the most electrifying running back in the NCAA right now. Probably the best running back in the NCAA. But Ohio State roster wise, man, Ohio State has technically the best roster in NCAA. They dropped one game to Oregon, who is sitting at 3 right now, I believe. Is Ohio State 4? Oregon's 3 right now?
Yep.
Okay,
Yep.
so Ohio State is in the college football playoff as of right now. Michigan State is sitting at 7. They're just right outside. They're on that little stretch of coming in. Now, we've picked games. We've said SMU could beat Cincinnati. You never really know what's going to happen there. If that were to happen and Michigan State were to beat Ohio State, I would almost say Michigan State be that 5 seed now. Put Michigan at 4, Michigan State at 5, and Cincinnati drop somewhere back. But man, truth is, they're playing it at Ohio State, and that is one of the hardest stadiums to win in. Like we've talked about that a lot today, but Ohio State is really hard just to win in. So and then Michigan State's coming in. They've dropped one game, and that was to Purdue. It was a bad loss. They should not have lost that game, but they did. Purdue's been like the dream crusher for the top 4 teams, but they played Ohio State, and Ohio State dusted them. So does that say Ohio State's a different breed, a different animal than other teams? I don't know. I guess we're gonna see Saturday. But my pick for this game, I'm going to take Michigan State to beat Ohio State in Columbus by 3 points. That's my pick. I think that Kenneth Walker is going to pound that defense. I think Michigan State just overall has more heart than Ohio State. I think Michigan State is they're playing with a chip on their shoulder for sure because they're sitting at that 7. Ohio State's at that 4. So they won in. I think Michigan State's going to play with a sense of urgency that Ohio State's just not going to have, even though they're playing at home. I think Michigan State pulls the upset and beats Ohio State and moves up back into college football playoff contention.
Yeah, if you look at it this way, and you look at some interesting points here, Ohio State defense hasn't played anyone since September 11th, but the offense had to deal with Penn State and Purdue, and it ripped through both of them.
And it took them a while to get rolling against Penn State, though. That's one thing to look at. It took them a while to get rolling. Now, Michigan State, you cannot take long to get rolling because Kenneth Walker, as soon as he comes out of that locker room, he's ready to put 400 yards on your defense.
Yeah.
So
and they're number one in the nation in yards and scoring. Ohio State got the running game going again with a brilliant day against the Boilermakers. The NFL caliber receiver core is lighting it up, and Stroud has settled in. Mm-hmm. So now to get Stroud out of settled in, Michigan State's defense likes to put pressure.
Yes,
but their defense is awful. I can give you that. Their defense is awful, but they like to put pressure on the quarterback. If they could get to C.J. Stroud, that could do some damage to Ohio State.
Yep.
And like you said, the stadium is tough to play in. Or they already have one loss this year, and Oregon came into Ohio State and beat them. So, I mean, there's a little bit of story there with Oregon there. If you look at Michigan State being playing well in defense has been awful. It's got the nation's worst pass defense, allowing 1,300 yards, over 1,300 yards in the last 3 games.
That's crazy.
1,300 yards. So that's not going to handle up against Ohio State.
No, it's not. But listen, first game of the season, Maryland versus Ohio State. It was on a Thursday night, I believe, or Friday night.
Yeah.
Maryland put a lot of pressure on C.J. Stroud in that offensive line.
Yep.
The first quarter, give or take, they were able to hold the pressure and read it, okay? But they got tired easily. Michigan State's pass rush is better than Maryland's pass rush, in my opinion, at least. I don't know about you. Yep. But I think Michigan State's pass rush and their play designs are 10 times better than Maryland. That's what stands out to me about Michigan State's defense. Why they have the edge over the number 1 offense in the country, in my opinion, is because the defensive pressure is going to get to Ohio State. And C.J. Stroud, we've seen whenever he is pressured, he panics and throws bad reads or gets sacked or just lays down or runs out of bounds or, anything like that. So I think he's going to get pressured. That offensive line's going to get tired. I think that's the big key for the defense is you've got to apply pressure because you're not going to be. I don't care who it is, you're not going to be able to handle that wide receiver core.
Yeah, they got a good wide receiving core, but then again, if Michigan State ploys Walker and Walker gets the yards, that means it's going to be long drives,
Mm-hmm.
time possession, going to keep that high power offense sitting on the sidelines. If they can do all that key, keeping them on the sideline, win the time of possession, win the running battle, make the defense of Ohio State tired, and get the offense frustrated. That's the key for success right there.
Yes, I think they're going to do that.
That's hard to do in Ohio State though,
It
because you
is.
got the
It is
fan
hard.
base. So to me, they got these scores up here. It's a 19-point favor for Ohio State.
Wow,
19 points,
that's crazy.
and you're talking about the number 7 team in the nation.
Yeah, versus the
Going
number
up there.
4. So I mean, it's just
Yeah.
like,
Over and under is 67 points.
and I'm okay with that. I think.
Yeah. Well, one guy got this thing going. Ohio State 40, Michigan State 31.
I mean, it's 2 possessions. I don't like it, and I don't think Ohio State will be able to get 2 possessions over Michigan State.
Yeah. So if you're looking at it that way, I'm gonna pull for Michigan State because I don't like Ohio State.
I
I
don't
think
like
Michigan
Ohio State
State.
either, but
I think it's gonna be the
if you
upset.
just look at it, Michigan State's just the matchup. The matchup is different, and I think Michigan State wins the matchup.
And why I'm going with that is because that next game that is right behind there, you dropped off the state and you put the Michigan in there. You got to go to Ann Arbor. C.J. Stroud has not played in a rivalry game yet in his college football career.
Yeah.
He could be looking ahead, and all of a sudden his mind's set for Michigan, not Michigan State. He can see the way my high school coach put it out. We played a team that was some sort of like a rivalry. We played Oxford Webb. We had played another school called Smith Webb.
Mhm.
And then Westcott, and he said, when you go out there and see that Webb, don't think of Oxford Webb. You go out there and think about Smith Webb, the team you're playing. Man, we had a freshman quarterback. He went out there and saw Webb's name on there. He was like tossing the ball like he was – these guys had like 4 or 5 interceptions till halftime. And I went and I pulled him to the side. I said, this is not Oxford Webb you're playing against. This is a Hoboken team out of Hoboken you playing at. Get out there and play like you normally play. Second half, we came back and won by 3 or 4 points. But that's again, we were favored by 45.
Yeah.
And our coach told you, I told you don't do that. So can he be Mesquite with that Michigan? Because they wear that Michigan State on the jersey. If they see the word Michigan, even though it's green, that Michigan is all that thing. That's all they could be really thinking about too. This could be a trap game for Ohio State.
It could be, and we talked about how maybe Michigan versus Maryland was a trap game for Michigan.
Yep.
But this is a big thing looking for next week. If you want to go ahead and think about next week, go ahead and think about it because Ohio State's playing Michigan State, who's a really good team, who's going to give them fits, while Michigan is playing Maryland.
Yeah.
Think about that. Think about the road to Michigan. So right now, Michigan could really be looking forward because I don't think they're going to have any problems in Maryland. But Ohio State has to be thinking about Michigan State and then think about Michigan. So I think that the only way to think about this is you cannot be thinking about Michigan, but I think they're going to.
Yeah.
They want to play Michigan so bad and go beat them in their home that they're going to overlook Michigan State right here. And that's why I think Michigan State's going to win. No, that's just another reason on top of it.
Yeah, true.
So
that is true. I'll give you that. Well, we're getting to the point where we're going to go ahead and talk about this next game here. This game is at 3:30. It's at Deming Stadium in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. This game is on CBS. 9-1 Alabama against a 7-3 Arkansas. We call it Arkansas, but Arkansas. So, you're an Alabama fan.
Mm-hmm.
Did this game give you a little bit of a chill factor, or is this going to be like we know what Georgia did to them? Is this going to be the same? It's going to be the same type game that Alabama can do what Georgia did to them.
See, I'm not worried about this game because this is the only reason why. We're playing at Bryant-Denny, okay? Whenever Bama plays at Bryant-Denny, they're lethal. And it's not just that. It's that Bama played Ole Miss, okay? And I was so worried going into that game. Bama's going to get beat. Bama's going to get beat. Bama's going to get beat. I don't look at Arkansas as any better than Ole Miss. I don't. And I think Bama's going to go out. They're going to play at home. They're going to, Will Anderson's going to bring the pressure. Our defense is so good. Our defense is very inconsistent, but we got to get that consistency down this week. Prepare for Auburn. Run Will Anderson off that edge. Let Bryce Young eat up against that defense. I don't see this game being close. I think Bama's going to win it 42-17, 42-21.
Alabama played a squash team last week.
Mm-hmm.
So they really had no pressure against them on that squash team. They
Right.
squashed them. Going from a squash game back to a decent SEC team that has done pretty good this year, and except for that Georgia game and some other few games. I mean, they battled Ole Miss to overtime, and Ole Miss won in overtime. They could easily won that game, so they could have came in at 7-8-2 in that prospect. But you got the trap game too. The consistent of these weeks are trap games, for certain teams, because you got Auburn waiting in the wings.
Yeah, I ain't worried about that though.
Yeah, I know. But I mean, still, a trap game is a trap game.
It is. Yeah.
Yeah, and if you say you ain't worried about Auburn, don't let that game get like it was when the guy missed that field goal and they ran it back for a touchdown.
Yeah. So the kick six, that I have nightmares about that. But I don't think this is a trap. Well, obviously it is. It is, but I don't think it's gonna mess up Alabama at all. I think Nick Saban knows what he's doing with that program. He's a distinguished coach. He knows how to handle games like this. I think went to Texas A&M looking over Texas A&M and got beat. And it's also one of the hardest places to play. So that's one thing about the Texas A&M game. Go ahead.
Would it surprise you if it would be a defensive game?
Yeah, it's not going to be a defensive game. I think Alabama's offense is way too good for this to be a low-scoring defensive game. I was surprised that they LSU held Bama to 20. I thought Bama would score 50 on them, but they didn't. So I don't think it's going to be. It would very well surprise me if it's a defensive game. Now, it very well could be because they both have good defenses, but I think Bama's offense is so good. Bryce Young is really good. He's only a sophomore. You got to think about that. So you have to worry about him next year too. So he's got only ways up for him. Brian Robinson has been a dog. We've got all these guys who have just been dogs. So I don't see Arkansas being able to compete maybe past halftime. It might be a close game at halftime, but after halftime it's going to be a beat down.
Well, if you look at this too, I mean, if you're talking about this could be scary. Alabama only considered it running for just 6 yards against LSU a few weeks ago. Arkansas's run defense hasn't allowed more than 135 yards, getting ripped up by Ole Miss in the early October's game.
Yeah, but see, Brian Robinson, and I love Brian Robinson. I talk him up all the time. People don't understand how good Brian Robinson really is. If you've never watched an Alabama game this year, watch Brian Robinson run. He runs just like Damian Harris ran at Alabama. I don't know if you remember Damian Harris, but he would carry the pack. He's so good. And, he's a red zone threat just like Brian Robinson. Brian Robinson can also pick up that 8-9 yards with guys on his back. So Brian Robinson is really good. Now, Arkansas's run defense is good too. I can't deny that, but Brian Robinson is just a different breed as far as running back goes. He's up there with Kenneth Walker for best in the NCAA. So I think Brian Robinson will definitely be able to break through Arkansas's defense. And we got to remember, Alabama has one of the best offensive lines in football too. That's another thing we got to remember. So they can open up holes for Brian Robinson, and we'll see what happens. But I truly think Bama is gonna blow Arkansas out.
Well, they got Bama favored by 21 points.
That don't surprise me one bit. What's the over/under?
57.5.
Okay.
But somebody got the score. Somebody got the score being Alabama 37, Arkansas 20. You think Arkansas is going to make at least 20 points on them?
I wouldn't be surprised.
So
I'd say halftime. I'd say I wouldn't be surprised if at halftime Arkansas had a little lead, or it was a tie game, or Bama up by 3 or 7 or something like that.
Yeah. Well, I'm going with Alabama too. I don't Arkansas to me. It's And it's just not. I mean, they got to play a few more years and being a winning record for me to do anything like that. But I mean, they still got that one good wide receiver
Mhm.
for Arkansas, so that's going to. I'll probably put a little bit of trouble on one side of your defensive area and stuff like that. But you playing in Brian Denny when the lights go out every time they score a touchdown, I think it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
So
Oh, that's awesome. The environment is.
I mean, other teams are starting to copy it. I mean,
Mhm.
Duke's got the lights going out when he scored a touchdown. When he scored a touchdown,
Yeah.
I mean, they
Win,
scored
exactly.
some last night and saw it, but that was just when they score.
Mhm.
So to me, I think it's going to be it could be a closer game than what people might think, but at the end, I think Alabama does take charge after the third quarter. Maybe
Mhm.
I'll give Arkansas maybe up to third quarter to stay in it, and then just going to be wore out by the fourth.
Yeah.
So yeah. Well. Next game we're going to be talking about here today will be the 7:30 game Eastern Time. It is in Rice Eccles Stadium in Salt Lake City, Utah. It's on ABC. Oregon comes in at 9-1. Utah comes in at 7-3.
Mhm. It's gonna be a good one.
This could be the preview of the Pac-12 championship game too.
Yeah. Um. It's gonna be a good one. But Oregon is sitting at 3 right now, like we've said. Utah sitting at 20. Wait, is Utah even ranked anymore? What are they ranked?
Not in the playoff one,
No,
and then
they're in
I don't
AP.
think. Let me
They're
see here.
ranked like
Hold on.
24th in AP, I think. Oh yeah, they are. They're right there, 23rd.
Yeah, 23rd.
So they're ranked. Yeah, so 23rd. Oregon's sitting at 3. It's gonna be a good one, and it's in Utah too. And we know whenever Utah plays these high-profile games that it is normally loud in there, and it is normally a hard place to win. Um, this is let me say this. I've said it. I'm not high on Oregon, but
Mm-hmm.
I think they beat teams like Utah. But and then there's another but. It just seems like an Oregon game to drop. I don't know why. I can't explain why I feel that way. It just seems like a game that Oregon's gonna lose. I don't know why I feel that way. Like I said, I have no idea why. I just think that it's just I don't know. I just think that Oregon it's just an Oregon game to lose. And I can't explain it. I can't explain it. But it just is an Oregon game to lose.
Well, if you look at it, I can understand where your sentiment is. Oregon does drop at least one game they unexpected they don't drop, but I think they already did that. They
Hmm.
dropped that Stanford game on a bad call. To me,
Yeah.
that Stanford game was a bad call. I mean, they should have came in this game undefeated.
Hmm.
But it's what it is. I think that game is part of the one game that they drop. They usually drop at least one game a year. I think they already did this. I think it's going to be a pretty good game. But the question is, does Utah defense have enough to stop their offense? Brown's been doing great. The wide receivers have been doing. But the question is, does Utah be able to block Tipino?
No, and that's the only thing that I see Oregon. I see Oregon winning this game. I think my prediction is Oregon winning the game, but I have a weird feeling that it might not happen. But Oregon's just been really looking really good since the Stanford loss. The number one going to be the number one overall pick more than likely. He's not going to be able to get blocked. He is a monster. He's a machine. Um, so yeah, I think I'm definitely taking Oregon in this game to beat Utah. I just think that they played too good since the loss, since the game they dropped to lose another.
Yeah, if you look at it, this team is 7-0 when it doesn't allow 200 yards rushing, 0-3 when it does more than that the program is 0-8 in his last eight. 0 in his last 8 going back to early 2017 when it allows. The Utah offensive line is going to be it's going to try to crush everything. That's what Utah
Yeah.
line is. They're going to hope they can block Tipino, but Tipino is fast. I mean,
Hmm.
if you got a bigger guy on him, he could spin right, use his quickness and get right through him, and that's going to cause a lot of havoc on your thing. I don't like Utah. The simple reason is ex-wife's brother went there, so anything with my ex-wife dealing with, I don't pick. I'm sorry. I know it's kind of stupid, but
No, I mean I don't think they beat Oregon anyway. But
I don't think they're gonna. They play good at home. They'll play better at home. To that, I mean, I think Oregon's got a lot to play with. I think Oregon's in that trying to get back to that championship, the playoffs. I think they got their eyes set. They already set number 3. They can't take this loss here to knock them all the way out. They won't be able to get back in it. So right now, I think they favoring Utah by 3 over Oregon.
wow.
Yeah, that's what Vegas done. They put them a 3-point favorite. They got somebody predict Utah can win 30-26.
No, I'm sorry, but you're losing a lot of money.
Yeah, I don't think they. And the over and under is 59 points. So
what are they doing in Vegas?
they're trying not to lose that money, but they're gonna. I don't know. They want to try to lose it or nothing like that. Let's go ahead and finish up some of our pick'ems here. Marshall at Charlotte. Who you got?
Marshall.
Yeah, I think Marshall will win this one too. But Charlotte has played good at home. You can't say they really beat anybody. They beat Duke this year. Yeah. That's only Power 5 conference they beat teams. So, Old Dominion at Middle Tennessee.
Middle Tennessee.
Yeah, I'm going with them. They're playing. Old Dominion hasn't had a football team in a while. Since the last time I was stationed there, and that was back in 2010.
Jeez.
So, Minnesota at Indiana.
I'm gonna take Indiana.
You're gonna take Indiana to pull the upset at home, huh?
At home, yeah.
I think Minnesota's gonna go in there and win, but I would like to see Minnesota lose, but it ain't gonna happen. I think they're gonna go in there and win. Well, East Carolina versus Navy. This is at the Navy Marine Corps Stadium in Annapolis, Maryland.
I'm gonna go Navy.
Yeah, I think East Carolina's had a good season. Navy's had a so-so season, but I think that triple option is going to give East Carolina wary, and plus they're playing in up in the Naval Academy, so I think the home crowd is going to give them a chance. But this also could be a overlooked game by Navy too, because they got Army waiting for them at the end.
Yeah,
that's always been a good game, the Army Navy game. Appalachian State goes into Troy.
App State.
Yeah, I got to stay with the team.
App State.
I got to stay with the team out of Boone, North Carolina. Myself, I'm a North Carolina person, so.
Have you ever been to Boone, North Carolina?
Many times.
I love it.
Yeah, been there plenty of times. The actual football field is pretty unique. Yeah, it's sideways.
We drove past it and stuff. We go a lot for vacation, but
I
just love it there.
Yep. Tweetsie Railroad, Grandfather Mountain.
Oh, I love
it. Been there, done that.
So beautiful.
So I've been there. The Blue Ridge Parkway, especially if you go in the fall with all the leaf changes goes.
Yeah, that's when we went last year. Oh, it was awesome.
So, Florida at Missouri.
Florida. Missouri.
You sure?
Yeah, Florida. Because Missouri is like Vanderbilt, honestly, as far as football goes, in my opinion. In the SEC.
I'm going to pick Missouri because Florida's in some disarray. They lost their defense. They fired the defensive coordinator. You still got Dan Mullins, who ain't called a pretty good game yet. And you still got Emory.
Still surprised that they almost beat Bama.
And you guys, and you still got Emory Jones, who throws interceptions at certain key points of the game too. So I'm picking Missouri because Missouri is better at home than they are on the road. I don't compare them to the Vanderbilt because they have done something in the SEC in a short time they've been there than Vanderbilt has done the whole time they've been there.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Rice and UTEP, University of Texas El Paso.
UTEP.
Yeah, UTEP is good at home. Only one of the losses came on the road. So the disarray of UConn at UCF.
UCF.
Yeah. We both got UCF on that one. And then Louisiana at Liberty.
Liberty.
You going with Hughes Freeze?
Yeah, I like the Liberty quarterback.
I get the notch to Hughes Freeze and stuff like that. So, all right, let's break it down back in here. We're gonna go with BYU at Georgia Southern.
BYU.
Let's talk about this game a little bit here.
If I had to pick, it's Georgia Southern, right? So, and BYU is a ranked team. Georgia Southern, however, has 3 wins. So, there's an upside somewhat to Georgia Southern season. BYU is sitting at 14 right now, I believe, in the AP 15 14 in both AP and college football playoff. I'm gonna take BYU to beat Georgia Southern. I don't know if it's at Georgia Southern though, so maybe we have an upset at home, but I'm gonna take BYU to beat Georgia Southern.
I mean, this is the time of year last year that BYU got beat by Coastal Carolina.
It was.
So I mean,
I think
they were
Coastal
away
Carolina
from home.
is a little bit more proficient than Georgia Southern.
Yeah, true. I mean, if you look at the tail of the tape, points per game, BYU is 33.3 a game and 22.3 a game for Georgia Southern. BYU only allows 24.3 points per game, and Georgia Southern allows 31.6. But then the total yards of offense is almost 100 yards a pop, and the yards allows it's over about the same amount as offense. So, yeah, I think BYU has a chance of just going out here and blowing this game out. BYU did score 66 points against Virginia.
Yeah.
So the other day, so I got BYU winning this game myself. So this game is at what time?
4 o'clock, I think.
4. So I got to find where they are on my paper here.
Yeah, 4 o'clock.
Oh, yeah. So we both got BYU. All right, it takes care of most of that. So got a few more 4 o'clock games and stuff like that. Let's talk about Old Dominion versus Vanderbilt.
Vanderbilt is a dumpster fire of an organization. They're a disgrace to the SEC. They're never good in football, rarely good in basketball, but we're talking about football right now. So, but I mean, I don't know. If I had to guess, I would go with Vanderbilt. Because it's just Vanderbilt is just, I guess, more distinguished as far as this goes.
Over Ole Miss?
Oh, you said Ole Miss?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't think you said Ole Miss. I don't know what I thought you said. What did I think? I don't know what I thought you said. Oh, Ole Miss. Ole Miss. Ole Miss.
You about to pull the upset of the year right here.
I was about to. No, Ole Miss. Sorry, I misheard you. I don't know if I lagged or what it was. Ole Miss is just really good. The quarterback, what is his name?
Corral?
Corral. Matt Corral. Matt Corral, he's a Heisman candidate. He's number 2, number 3 right now sitting there. They're number 10 as far as AP goes. I'm not sure what they are, college football playoff. Yep, they're number 10. So, I'm going to take Ole Miss to beat Vanderbilt, obviously, but I think it's probably about like 30 or 40. It won't even be close.
Yeah, I had to include Vanderbilt hasn't been on the show yet, so I had to put him on the show. So you talk about him a little bit here and give him a little bit of spotlight here.
I have no idea what I thought you said.
That's
Vanderbilt's
okay.
beating Ole Miss. Oh yeah.
I thought you were gonna pull the upset. This would be one of the upset right here, and you can hear it here first on the ASL Sports Network.
Could you imagine if that happens tomorrow? I'd be like, I told you so.
Well, Ole Miss is they got the one of the best quarterbacks, and he's a Heisman hopeful. Mm-hmm. Vanderbilt is like a Duke team in the ACC. He's just there to fill up a spot on the last place line, just to give you enough games to it's gonna be run. Matt Corral gonna keep the turnovers to a minimum because Vanderbilt doesn't force any turnovers on their defense. So the over Vanderbilt is an underdog, is a 36-point underdog in this ball game. Over and under is 64.5. There's somebody predict the score to be 41-17 Ole Miss.
I don't think Vandy will even put up 17 against them.
So
Matt Corral though, like the thing with Matt Corral is Lane Kiffin just in general, his offense is super risky. Like he takes a bunch of risks. Like he always he likes to go for it on fourth and stuff like that. So I guess that's the only way I could see Vandy getting 17 is if they go for it in in their own territory, and then Vandy gets it, there down there. But still, I don't see 17 points being put up.
yeah. Well, we got less than 44 minutes before the first game coming up here on the College Breakdown Show. Let's continue on. We got Notre Dame versus Georgia Tech. This game is played at 2:30 Eastern Time at Notre Dame Stadium in South Bend, Indiana. The game could be on the Notre Dame TV station, which is NBC. That's your local network, free broadcast channel there. Notre Dame record comes in at 9-1. Georgia Tech comes in at 3-7 in this ball game. Georgia Tech comes in with a dual-headed monster at quarterback that really hasn't helped themselves when they beat North Carolina. That's kind of a downfall on my team this year. Teams under 500 records beating them and stuff like that has just been
rough,
unexplainable. But they do have one quarterback in Sims for Georgia Tech, who is a very good runner. His passing is starting to come around. He played here at Jacksonville at Sunderwood High School in Jacksonville, Florida. I seen him play in high school when he ran that single wing type looking offense because he was a quarterback plus a running back. So, and that was very effective in high school. It's not effective in college. So what do you expect on Notre Dame to do in this ball game?
Blow Georgia Tech out. That's what I expect. I don't think it's going to be close. Notre Dame is another hard place to win at home or win when you're away. Excuse me. And they're 9-1. They're sitting at the 6th spot right now. That's what I'm seeing. Georgia Tech sitting at unranked at 3-7. Been a rough year. They've had some good wins though. But I think Notre Dame will blow Georgia Tech out, and then they've got Stanford sitting next, which I think that's going to be too lowest in the season for Notre Dame. Notre Dame's a team we haven't really talked about maybe moving up into that top 4 because, what could happen. But, it is, so they're sitting at 6 AP right now, so you never know really what's going to happen there. As far as Notre Dame jumping that because they have 2 unranked opponents left. But I'm going to go with Notre Dame to blow out Georgia Tech in this game. I don't think it's going to be close whatsoever.
Yeah, you're talking about that. You're talking about, they close out the season going to Stanford.
Yeah.
So, Stanford might not be ranked, but Stanford could pull.
They definitely could.
They could pull like what they did to Oregon out of Notre Dame. But the question is, if Notre Dame wins out, if they blow out Georgia Tech but don't blow out Stanford, and they don't have a conference championship, not this year because they're not in the ACC. They were only playing the ACC because they were independent and only get Notre Dame to play. The ACC felt sorry for them, so they brought them into the conference for one season. So without a conference championship, if they don't blow out Stanford and if Stanford comes in and don't get blown out by, do you see Notre Dame jumping anywhere up in that top 4?
I think there would need to be some losses, of course. I think Oregon would need to lose. I think Cincinnati would need to lose.
How about if Alabama falls? Just saying if.
Yeah, if Alabama falls, if Georgia or Alabama fall, there's going to be a lot of movement. If Bama falls, I think that Cincinnati would be the first to get in there. Let's say something weird happens, Bama, Oregon, and Ohio State fall. I think that's the only way Notre Dame gets in. 3 teams have to fall out for Notre Dame to get in, just because how the line is right now,
Right.
And it's pretty tight in there, but I would say that's the only way they get in.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think Notre Dame will beat Georgia Tech too in this ball game. I don't see no senior future how Georgia Tech could win this ball game unless something happens to or somebody gets injured for Notre Dame in this ball game. That's the only way I could see it. Let me see here. It's a 7:30 game. Just trying to pull out where
Let me see.
it's a
Yes,
2:30
it's a
Eastern.
2:30 game.
2:30 game. Let me go back to 2:30 up here. Yeah, it's a 2:30 right here. All right, so we mark it down. We've got Notre Dame on this one here. And then our last game that we're going to actually break down, we'll break some more games down here in a few minutes because we'll have a little bit more time to do it. We got less than 40 minutes here before the first game kicks off here on the college sports breakdown. That is Purdue versus Northwestern. This game is at 12 o'clock. This is at Wrigley Field in Chicago, Illinois.
That's
Big
cool.
Ten networks carrying it. Purdue comes in at 64. Northwestern comes in a sloppy 3-7. Northwestern, there was a team that was in that COVID year. They had a winning record that won. I guess that played in the Big Ten tournament last year, and now just like Indiana, they had just faded away when the crowd came back in. So, what is going on at Northwestern right now?
I have no idea if it's the expectations going into this season that threw them off. If it's like you said, the crowd. I think it's a little bit of both, because they had a lot of expectations and maybe that just overwhelmed them. I have no idea. I can't even answer that question. I have no idea what's going on with Northwestern. But as far as this game goes, it's gonna be fun. It's at Wrigley. I think that's really cool. That's gonna be interesting to see, though. I kind of want to see how that looks. Purdue has been the dream killer this year. They beat Michigan State. Who else did they beat? They beat another top 4 team when they were top 4. Who was it?
Iowa.
Iowa. That's right. They beat number 2 Iowa when they were number 2 and undefeated. So that's something Purdue has going for them. But they're playing at Northwestern at Wrigley Field, so I don't think that there's any way that Northwestern can pull it off.
Yeah, it's to me, I look at it this way here. Fitzgerald, the Northwestern head coach, he was all over the thing for head coaching jobs and stuff like that. Last year, he stayed at Northwestern. Now his name is not being brought up in any coaching searches and stuff like that because of what's going on at Northwestern. Purdue has got a good running game going, and Northwestern is sorry against the run because they let Duke run on them too. So I mean, to me, I think Northwestern's got a lot of problems in the Big Ten matchup here. I think Purdue is going to go in there into Wrigley Field because it's not really a true home game for Northwestern, even though Northwestern's in Chicago, out in Chicago area. So I mean, but Purdue is in Indiana, which is really close to Chicago. So I think since they're playing on a neutral field, I think half and half of the stadium is going to be half and half. So it really it's not going to be a mixture of fans and there. I mean, to me, Purdue is favored by 11 points in this ball game, and the over and under is 47. I think they got the over and under correctly in this one. I think it's going to be a low scoring game. I have Purdue running the ball more than passing the ball because Northwestern has a hard time stopping the run. So I see Purdue probably maybe getting 20. I see Northwestern probably getting maybe 3 or 10, at least in this ball game. So I'm going with Purdue in this game. Are you going with Purdue too?
Purdue, yes.
All right. So we locked in there on that one. So make sure we got all the games covered there. So let's go. Let's continue on here. We had the 115, 113. We got about 20, 37 minutes left here before we get going here. So let's look at it here. TCU and Kansas is an interesting game on the spot. You got one that's got a coaching search going on. You got one that's trying to win the coaching job, even though Deion Sanders' favorite of her. But I mean, the defense coordinator has done pretty good while he's at the head coaching position of the interim coach. Kansas coming off the big win against Texas. So does Kansas carry the momentum all the way into Fort Worth, Texas, to beat Christian Texan University?
I don't think so. And let me just say this, because Kansas is kind of like a toss-up team, right? They can either go out there and they can play Oklahoma close, almost beat Oklahoma, or they can go out there and beat Texas. Don't really know what Kansas is going to do. TCU, they're going into TCU. TCU is a very hostile environment. I don't think that they're gonna any momentum will be able to carry into TCU. Now you could say they beat Texas in Texas, which okay, that's a valid argument. However, it's hard to keep that momentum over and over and over and beat a good team, play a good team close, and then play another good team and just hope to win. Not at your home stadium. On top of that, so I don't think they'll be able to carry the momentum. Now Kansas has though they have looked good. They looked good against Oklahoma. They looked good against Texas, but to carry it against TCU, who sure is kind of in a dumpster fire of a situation right now, I don't think it'll happen.
Well, Kansas looked good against Oklahoma and Texas because they played at home.
Yeah, that's
So.
yeah. I mean, but did you see like against Oklahoma though? Did you see like there was like nobody there to start the game, and they literally opened the gates. It was free to get in for everybody, and the game was like Kansas had like a 3-point lead at halftime or something, and the place was full by the third quarter.
Yeah, some colleges do that. I mean, look at Duke last night. They said they had over one person said they had over 24,000 people there, but that crowd didn't look like 24,000 people. It looked like 5,000 people all spread around the whole entire stadium. Temple and Tulsa. Who do you have winning this ball game?
I think Tulsa wins it because we've seen Tulsa
Yeah.
play a lot of the other good teams and play them close. With that being said, they didn't win one, but they played them close. That shows a lot. With that being said, I'm picking Tulsa to win that game.
So we got Auburn at South Carolina at 7:00.
This is interesting because if Auburn wants to get back into that ranked position before they play Alabama, they need to get a big demanding win here. With that being said, I think Auburn beats South Carolina. I don't think it's a blowout though. Surprisingly, actually, you know what I mean. I think people think this might be a blowout. Ray, I don't know how you feel about it, but I think it'll be a close game, closer than people think. But I think Auburn wins. I think they get back into that top 25 equation.
Yeah, they're playing in South Carolina. I don't like the stadium. You can ask Dre. That stadium is ferocious. It's downtown, no parking. You got to park in somebody's yard, and sometimes they charge you about $40-$50 to park in their yard for parking. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. They have a bus that goes in from different places, but it's a downtown stadium. South Carolina. The Gamecocks. Beamer's got that got in the right direction. They upset Florida last week. There, so possibly 2 in a row. But I think Auburn has enough running game, enough a little bit more better defense than Florida, and a better running attack. So I think Auburn comes out with a slight victory, 27-24. Is my score in this one.
Do you think it puts Auburn back in the top 25?
No.
You don't think so?
No, not against South Carolina.
But do you think if they blow them out, then
maybe
back into it? Yeah,
maybe. But if it's a close game, no.
Okay.
Now, if Auburn can win this game and then somehow upset Alabama next week, then they'd be ranked.
And hey, Auburn's playing at home.
Oh, it ain't one of those kick six, off the field goal thing.
I would be so mad. Or 2 years back, whenever Auburn won off of a missed field goal from Bama, they literally it was like a 23-yard kick or something. The dude just missed it.
Yeah, and if they do win it, they're gonna go. Is Alabama fan gonna go back and cut down the tree, or poison the tree like they did the other on the pick six?
I don't know. That kick six. The thing about that is oh my gosh, it was so. I remember exactly where I was when that happened. I remember exactly where I was. I couldn't tell you what I was wearing. That's a little bit much, but I remember my exact reaction to when it happened. Oh my gosh. And I was young. I was when was it? 2013, 2014?
Something like that.
I was young. I was 8, 9.
Let me see. When that happened, we were underway. Yeah. No, I was out of the Navy then. I was talking to somebody. I was talking to one of my friends. He was an Oklahoma Sooner guy. I said, we were watching the Alabama and the Auburn game together. I said, "Watch this." He said, "What are you talking about?" I said, "They put a guy underneath the goalpost. That ball's going to fall short. He's going to run it back for a touchdown because when they get it that deep, they already got the players already blocking each other, so they might as well just turn around blocking it, and it's just perfect blocking all the way down." And I told him that, and he looked at me like, "You lying?" I said, "No, watch." Soon he kicked it. Soon he started running back and got past the 50-yard line. He looked at me like, "How you knew that?" I said, "Because if you play football,
Yeah, it's easier to realize.
I mean, the field goal, it's easier to run back on a field goal kick than it
Yes.
is a punt because the punt team's got to come back and turn around, run back, get where to play. But a field goal, you're right there already, and you're going to know it's going to be short. You got the guy's arm. So when he catches the ball, you're right there already on top of him. It's a whole lot easier to run.
And the thing is, there's only one wave whenever it's a field goal. When it's a punt or a kick, you got like 2-3 waves.
Yeah.
But I was at my dad's old house. We were in the living room, and my dad is a Kentucky fan, right? So everything's against Alabama, right? So it happens, and he's obviously rooting for Auburn. So my dad said, "Watch what's about to happen." I was like, "What do you mean?" So I look at the TV. Dude's got the ball in his hands, and I was like, "It was Chris Davis." No. Davis.
Yeah, it was Chris Davis.
I believe it was his name. Yeah.
Yeah.
And he took that ball up the left side, and he was gone. And I was waiting for him to say it was out of bounds. There was a block in the back or something, and there was nothing. And I remember he scored, and he turned his back to the home crowd and did this little like roll thing, and everybody dogpiled him. And oh man, it was. I will never forget that. I'll tell you that much. The amount of pain that I felt after that. Oh, it was rough, but I mean, that's one of the most memorable moments in college football history, though, and it's pretty cool that we get to witness that.
Well, we're getting ready here. We got less than 8 minutes before first kickoff at 12 o'clock. We got this is called the speed round of Pick'em. So the last few games, we're going to pick them really fast to get us up to where we can have to do a last-minute talking point here. North Texas versus Florida International.
North Texas.
You got North Texas. I got Florida International on that one. Okay. California and Stanford. This is going to be a repeat of the band jumping the field.
Yeah. Stanford.
Yeah, I got Stanford too. California's it's awful this year. Really awful. South Alabama at Tennessee.
Tennessee.
Yeah. Hindenburger coming from Virginia Tech. I think Virginia Tech made the wrong move, not cheap, keeping Hindenburger there. Hindenburger is doing. Now Virginia Tech at Miami.
Virginia Tech.
Are you picking Virginia Tech because they fired their head coach?
I'm picking Virginia Tech because Miami is terrible. That's why I'm picking Virginia Tech.
Yeah, Virginia Tech. I'm taking Miami because I think the freshman quarterback is there, but this game could also save Manny Diaz's game for one more year, maybe.
Yeah.
So, but there has been rumors that, Wayne Kiffin has been rumored for that if they fire him for that job.
Oh, yeah, I guess I did see that. Yeah. He said he wants to go to Miami, but I was like, that's crazy.
Number 9, Oklahoma State versus Texas Tech.
Oklahoma State.
Yeah, I think Texas Tech has got a little bit of a hard time. They're not on the way back yet. I think a couple more years they could be. How about the Wyoming Cowboys and the Utah State playing in Utah?
Oh my gosh, Wyoming. Let's go Wyoming.
You're taking Wyoming. I'm gonna take the home team. I don't know why, but I'm gonna take the home team. UNL, University of Louisiana Monroe versus LSU.
I'm gonna take LSU. Safe pick. I'm gonna go LSU.
Yeah. New Mexico at Boise State playing on the Bluegrass.
Boise State.
Yeah. New Mexico State hasn't played all bad this year, but they haven't played all good either. Now this is the interesting one. Let's go with Colorado State at Hawaii. Playing in Hawaii.
Hawaii had a lot of hype coming into this season. They did.
Yep.
They were pretty hyped up. I'm going to take Hawaii in this to beat them.
Yep.
At home.
I think Colorado's got to travel a little bit too long to get there.
Yeah.
Time difference.
That's a big time difference, yeah.
So we got about 6 minutes here. Let's take a little bit of Arizona State at Oregon State playing at Oregon State University.
Oregon State's another place where it's kind of hard to play, especially that home crowd gets fired up when their Beavers do good. So, that's one thing to look at. Shoot. I mean, I guess I'll take Oregon State at home. Oregon State at home.
I'm gonna take Herm Edwards and the Arizona State to come up with an upset in that one. I think Herm Edwards has got that program where it needs to be. It's not consistent enough to win, but he's got it there on the outskirts of winning. I think a couple more, probably about another year and a half, 2 years, you might see Arizona State making a move in that Pac-12 area.
I mean, Oregon State left Stanford last week, so
yeah,
I think it shows me enough to pick Oregon State.
But also, you got to worry about too, and same thing with Oregon. You got to worry about the next game after that. That's against those two is the Civil War battle. Yeah. So, but yeah, it's been good. We got less than 5 minutes to kick off time. So today here, do you see besides all our picks? Do you see really any upsets, major upsets on these playoff teams?
I'll say this. Okay, well, I mean, I see Michigan State beat Ohio State. So I guess technically that's an upset. Ohio State is right now in the playoff. I wouldn't be surprised if Oregon gets beat because, like I said, it's just a game where I feel like Oregon might drop. I don't know why I say that. I just do. But I feel like there's a lot riding on the Michigan State-Ohio State game, and I think Michigan State comes out and they beat Ohio State. I'm going to stick with it. I'm going to stick with it until we'll see what happens. But, I'm going to go Michigan State over Ohio State for my upset.
Well, I mean, yeah, we all picked Alabama and all that stuff, but it's something to telling me that this game could be closer than what we really, really think. And to me, I think Arkansas has a little bit of pieces they could put a little bit of pressure on Alabama, but they're playing in Denny Stadium. But if it is going to be an upset, it's going to be a close one, and I think it could be that game. I think Arkansas could go in there and probably pull off an upset by a field goal. That's if Arkansas can stay with Alabama through halftime.
That's the key. And that's the thing about Bama. It's like sometimes these teams stick with them until halftime, but then Nick Saban gets a little butt chewing in the locker room, and they come out a different team. But if Arkansas, I'm going to say this, if Arkansas can stay with them through, let's say third quarter, they go into fourth quarter, it's a close game, then we're going to put them on upset alert. That's what I'm going to say.
That is true. And then your Heisman. Who's leading your Heisman candidates right now?
Ooh, go quarterback. That boy from Tuscaloosa. Come on now. Bryce Young is my Heisman. He's so good at everything he does. I don't think there's any way. He's the best quarterback in college football right now. Bryce Young's my Heisman right now. What about you?
Well, to me, I play defense. So I like the defensive guy. And I like to see a defensive lineman get rewarded for what he has done. I mean, he has done tremendously for Georgia. I mean, taking on the double team, taking on triple team, taking cut blocks and not getting phased by it and putting pressure on people. I mean, Georgia wouldn't have that many sacks if it wasn't for him coming up that middle. Because it's kind of hard. It's kind of hard for a quarter, even you have a scrambling quarterback to get away from a guy who's charging up the middle because you have the two defensive ends on the upside climbing the pocket. So if you got him trying to get through Davis, Davis has been a man, and I mean they have tried to. I've seen several quarterbacks try to cut between the defensive end and Davis, and it didn't work out too good. Davis kind of flattened him.
Listen, I would say if it was possible for it to happen, but I just don't think the Heisman committee doesn't give enough love to defensive players. But listen, this dude is like 6'5", 350, running as fast as like some quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Like that's crazy to me. Like he chased. Whose quarterback was it? It might have been Clemson's. DJ.
Ugalea?
Yeah. I was like, I'm not even going to try. Chased him he chased him from the pocket to the freaking sideline and sacked the dude.
Yep.
And that highlight was everywhere because he ran through. He was a one-on-one. He just power bull rushed the dude. And then the running back caught him, and that wasn't even. Yeah, he might as well just got out of the way. and then he ran him down. I think that's so phenomenal. I think if it's my heart talking, it's Jordan Davis, but I don't think he'll win it. I think Bryce Young will win it just because he's a quarterback. You know, quarterbacks normally do win it. So.
Yeah, but I mean, it's time for somebody to get some kind of recognition to the defensive line.
I'm telling you.
If that dude is on the line. He sometimes get double teamed, and he sits there and takes the double team on, and then next thing you know, he's making tackles in the backfield, breaking the double team.
I agree. I mean, I agree with you. I think he needs to be the Heisman, but if I'm speaking from a fan, then I say Jordan Davis. But I'm speaking from, like how I should be speaking on a show, then I say Bryce Young, just because like it's so rare for a defensive player to win it. Now I think he's done enough to show he's the best player in college football. But I just don't think he is going to get it just because quarterbacks normally do.
Yeah. Well, it's getting ready to kick off time here on the All Sports, All Plays College Sport Breakdown. We took you all the way up to kickoff time. Like I said, once again, this show has been pre-taped due to some family issues, some death in the family that I will be taking away tomorrow. So we had to go ahead and record the show early. I hope you enjoyed today's show. Thanks for Landon coming on with me today. My name is Ray Cruz. I am the host of the All Sports, All Play College Breakdown show. And until next weekend, peace out.
All sports, all plays. Yeah. All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays. 365, we making a plays. You talking the game, get you through the days. We're high in the court, the dime in the lane. Variety, topics, living the same. All presentations.